Yo, welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is, like I always remember, it is Saturday the 9th of November 2013, and I am Ant-Man. And I have an article in front of me from ClashDaily.com with Doug Giles. Red Alert! The moral decline in kids today and the parents who raise them, by Gina Michael. Yes, I guess that would be a good place to start when it comes to, as human beings, we tend to learn from watching things. Everything we know is because we saw someone else do it or we saw someone else say it. You know what I mean? There is no other way. You know what I mean? That's how we learn. We're like, I don't want to give any credit to the evolutionists because I think that's a religion that you've been tricked into believing. But it's monkey see, monkey do. I would like to state for the record that this week's column is purely an opinion piece regarding a realization I have arrived at. I recently had an eye-opening experience that made me see firsthand the rapid moral decline in today's youth and the parents that are raising them. There's a game that the kids of today play that's called Knockout, and they go around looking for unsuspecting people to knock unconscious with a punch. This is the depraved generation that we're raising in this country. They get off on knocking unsuspecting people out on the street. And that just shows you, man, how mediocre it is out there. Nobody really honors anything. It's honorable to be a piece of crap, I guess. So my boy, okay, what's her name? Gina Michael writes here, my boyfriend and I both are in our late 20s and early 30s. We decided to spend last Saturday at Boston's Museum of Science. Neither of us are fans of large crowds these days for obvious reasons if you've been out in public lately, but we thought it would be a fun and different way to spend an afternoon since we don't get out much in our old age. While the museum isn't, while the museum itself was a good time and even educational, I could not help but notice the wild animals around me, and I don't mean the taxidermy leopards behind the glass. Most of the children present, some as old as 9 or 10 years old, were screaming, running around, headbutting people, and climbing on museum displays and exhibits. That's animal. You're acting like a complete animal if you're doing that. As I observed these out-of-control children and their parents, all I could see was incompetence and a general lack of civility. If the parents weren't begging their children to behave, they were completely ignoring them. Yeah, because the one thing that's going on to make little Johnny stop screaming with snot running down his nose is the adult and sole provider, either pleading with him or ignoring him altogether. Not having children of my own, I am not really exposed to Generation Z firsthand or for any length of time. The only exposure I really have to these misguided youths is what I read in the media or see briefly on the train to work. At the risk of sounding dramatic, I must say that my museum experience was rather shocking. I didn't feel like I was in the America I grew up in. While I realize my generation, the millennials, have a bad rap for being self-centered and technology dependent, actually dependent in every respect. The generation behind us is, in my opinion, going to be far worse. Well, it's not going to get better with the way we're doing things here in this country. The political correctness that was foisted upon my generation that required us to call people of different races by their assigned PC name or getting accepted to a state university on the basis of skin color has generated a new breed of apathetic, disengaged, unaccountable, and barely attentive parents. We are the generation that has been forced by school psychologists and wimpy teachers to drug kids rather than teach them to behave, or God forbid, read and write, add and subtract. And don't even get me started on inventive spelling, which crept into my Catholic primary school just as I was entering high school. Generation Z is being raised without religion, rules, boundaries, reward for true accomplishment, dignity, and self-respect. The dignity and self-respect that people lack today, man. I cannot wrap my head around how you don't want to have any self-respect. You don't want to have any integrity. It's like, yes, these things they're practices. You got to practice these virtues, and it's not easy. It doesn't fall in your lap, but you got to start somewhere, and you can't. I mean, this comes from being when you go to public schools, you're just being trained to be narcissistic, self-loving, and only caring about where you stand socially. Like you're a sociopathic narcissist is what you turn into in public school. I see that with everybody. That all they care about is what my friends think about me, or I don't want to be made fun of. Oh yeah, you don't want to be made fun of? There's people in Syria getting their heads chopped off for Jesus. What do? You know what I mean? You hide like a coward to all these liberals that claim to know things but are indoctrinated by lies. Let's just be honest. Evolution's a lie. Christopher Columbus finding America wasn't really that honest. Fortunately, there are some from my generation whose parents were more resistant to the PC philosophy and are raising good kids. I believe that it is their children that are getting suspended from school for gun action figures or wearing an NRA t-shirt. Why are these kids targeted for punishment but the out-of-control 6-year-old who can't focus his attention on more than 2 seconds is diagnosed as having a learning disorder, forced to take Ritalin, and tiptoed around? Why is only a certain type of child disciplined in today's America? What kind of message are we, the millennials and beyond, sending to the upcoming generation of children who truly don't know any better? Well, we're all children in a sense, I think I read somewhere that people don't grow up until they're like 28 years old now. So a grown man at the age of 28 is still behaving childish in our country. That's a norm. That's normal. That means sitting on the couch, playing video games all day. That's the lifestyle of the slob American. Not even 28 years old is not even, that's not old, but you should have, you know what I mean? You should have some backbone by then. You should be a man by then. You should be able to take care of yourself by then. But I think it's the accommodation of it in this country. It's called, what I like to call it is misplaced compassion. You're not helping yourself or that person by not telling them or not disciplining them in any way. But I remember, because I went to public school, so I remember what it's like. When you're in public school and you have beliefs and you stand for them, you get attacked. The out-of-control, violent dude that's picking the fights, and he doesn't pay attention in class, he distracts everyone, he never gets that much in trouble, dude. I mean, I've been in public school. The guy that speaks up and tries to calm the situation down or try to stop the guy that's disrupting the class every 5 seconds is the guy who usually everything's going to fall on him. I've been in public school. I know what it's like. It's totally unfair toward the person with the virtuous, just wanting to be good, just wanting to learn something and, have a fair shot at education. But no, it's not about that in public school. It's about fitting in and knowing all the trendy things that are going on. This type of weak parenting is creating a social class of youngins that act out inappropriately, they have no consciences, yet finds the strength to shun and attempt to punish those they don't agree with politically. Yeah, it's the age of cruelty. It's trendy to be cruel. It's trendy to say things that are not nice to people. That is the new age. The kids wearing NRA t-shirts and playing with toy guns with their friends are slowly becoming the enemy of wussy liberal parents and their out-of-control offspring who just act on however they feel at the moment. Oh, folks, it's not the guns, video games, or whatever other inanimate object people claim that are killing. It's the misguided, empty soul, drugged up young people that have been a product of this progressive liberal agenda their parents have adopted. It's secularism run amok. So how did we get into this mess? My theory is that after enough time, America's progressive ideology was adopted by Generation X, who in general became more dependent upon material objects and the government to take care of them. They were brought up by baby boomers, who, despite the hippie movement in general, were hard workers and honest. And by general, I mean in dramatically less numbers than society today. Earning an honest living and doing the right thing become less appealing to the Xers because despite what many of their parents taught them or society expected, it was much easier and convenient to opt out of this lifestyle and take the easy road. Once these people reproduced, the damage has been done. The result of this lifestyle and morality shift is evident in today's youth. We see selfish, lazy, dependent children and adolescents who aren't willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears it takes to not only become a successful individual professionally, but personally and spiritually. They have meltdowns when they're bullied. They expect a manager's salary for entry-level work and want a medal just for participating. When the going gets tough, They have no moral compass or religious foundation to fall back on because their parents have shown them that religion is an unrealistic, oppressive, and judgmental institution. They do not see or know or of anything or anyone that is larger than themselves. There is no higher being to whom they hold themselves accountable, and therefore no motivation or conviction to be honest, kind, and humble individuals. In addition, how could we possibly expect Generation Z to be any more honest or better behaved than what those in Washington, D.C. and the White House? Than what those in... Okay. How can you hold your children to a high standard when you elect substandard people to serve you and this country? What this country is tolerating today, our children will embrace tomorrow. That is absolutely true, and it's alarming. It is alarming because I think we need to say something now, or else we're not going to get... this isn't going to go over well for you. If you're going to stand up to that, you're going to go into a type of persecution. And if you're going to get persecuted for Christ's sake, you should use that as fire you should use that as more energy toward what you're doing. I don't know. Take it as a, you know what I mean? Look at it in a good way. If you're going to get persecuted, you're going to get persecuted, period, in this world, for whatever reason. Not everyone's going to like you. But if you're going to get persecuted for something, do it for God. Do it for the one who took all your sin away. He made you righteous. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. When I suffer persecution, sometimes I get like, man, it sucks. You know what I mean? It sucks having people want to hit you in the face because of something you believe in, something that's changed your life, something that is nothing but good. But when I do have to just take my hits and roll with the punches, I think back and I feel this peace and joy that no one can take away from me. Nobody, no legislation, no president. Nobody can take away what God has given me. And that's amazing. So read the Bible and stop believing everything you hear. Because, come on, you guys. You guys don't have one, you atheists out there are funny when you try to argue the legitimacy of the infallible Word of God. You have no basic premise whatsoever on any subject that the Bible talks about. No, none. Zero. God bless you and have a good day. Stop being atheists.